party down, location mysterious. Wanna rock this con like my man James Tiberius. Jesse and Marina, they're mad clever like the Negus. Gonna guide you through the scenes, beam from London to Las Vegas. Where to go, how to dress, when to sleep, who to see. Celebs not to miss, Sardis Wong and SMG. Star Trek into awesome, build some memories at last. Set the proper course, the Shore Leave Podcast. Boom.
Here we are, and yet again we have another virtual TrekCon weekend, which is so terribly exciting, and we're very, very pleased and honored that we actually get to kick off, the celebrations. We're not the first event of the evening, but nevertheless, everybody, welcome to Shore Leave. As you can see, we all
I got. What did I put on? Am I on backwards?
No, you got it. Star Trek Cruise, that's one of these swag shirts, wonderful swag shirts that we got, yes. So as you can guess, with the water and everything, we're here to talk about Star Trek Cruise, the Star Trek and the cruise. And we have two of our wonderful guests with us, Sue and May, who were fellow attendees on the cruise. And we basically just going to chat about our experiences, which I have to say, I'm super excited to talk about it because this time around, I enjoyed my experience like almost 100%. In 2020 there were certain things, and those people who have listened to our episodes at the time when we were reviewing 2020 cruise will remember, but this time around, oh my goodness, this was amazing. So just from the get-go, we're kind of jumping in without introducing ourselves.
Yeah, let's introduce ourselves. But, we're just a bunch of crazy people talking right now.
Well, so. if people are on this page, I would presume that they probably already know our faces and who we are. Nevertheless, hi, I'm Marina. And with me is my wonderful co-host, Jesse. I'm kind of pointing, and even though I'm not even sure if
I'm on the type right corner.
Yeah,
that's my view from my room.
I wouldn't be surprised. That was the view of my room for like a whole weekend. It was super thrilling.
But happy to be here. Jesse Okendo, co-host with Marina, who's our wonderful. I always call her my best co-host and friend ever since the Shore Leave thing started.
So you're so sweet.
And it's good. It's only been 2 weeks since I've seen you, so that's good. Yay!
Isn't it though surprising? And I think it's the product of the pandemic. It feels like we had an incredible week just packed with Trek things and experiences and hanging out with friends. And 2 weeks have passed, and it almost feels like, was that like last century? How come, it kind of feels like the time is just passed.
Yeah.
So, well, let's see. Sue, you and I, this was the second cruise for both of us, right?
Yeah.
Whereas both May and Jesse, you're the veterans. You've done all 6 of them. And so it's an interesting perspective. So that's why I was kind of like hoping that we can have a conversation, just kind of comparing the previous experiences and from the point of view of like having done it once before versus having done everything from the very beginning. We have,
the Reinkes have joined us.
Yes, wonderful. Hi. If you can please unmute yourselves. And we have another friend of the show, a wonderful Debbi Reinke with us. Debbi, this is also your second cruise. Hi, Rich. So Debbi and Rich.
Wait a minute. You guys live in the same house.
Did you be on the same screen then?
This is much better for audio. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Go ahead, Marina. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we were just basically, I started saying it's interesting to get a perspective. So both Sue and I have only done the cruise once before, whereas Jesse and May started out from the very first one. So this is their sixth one, right? Because they were
6. Yes, we're only
5.
9 of us have.
Yeah, but there was 1 year when they did 2.
Yeah.
So
you're counting both sailings as separate cruises. Nice.
Yes.
So I suppose let's just start with like, the first blush. What is your overall feeling? How did it go for you?
So who do you, you know what? Let's introduce Sue. We haven't introduced her. Have we? Was I there?
I have mentioned the names of the guests, but yes, please do introduce yourself.
Yes.
Especially those folks in the fandom community should very well know Sue. I would hope so, but nevertheless, Sue, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Sue. You may know me from Women at Warp. I'm one of the hosts of Women at Warp. This is Oswin, who insists on hanging out whenever I'm on a video call. This is my second cruise. On my first cruise, 2020, my cabin mate, it was her second cruise. So I didn't go into it completely unaware. Like I had a bit of a guide for my first time. But I mean, this time was very different. I'll be honest, I was anxious to book a lot of excursions, I was anxious about like, what is the ship going to be like? What is the COVID situation going to be like? So I didn't plan a whole lot in advance, which resulted in this trip being a lot more chill than my typical, let's say, convention experience.
Yeah.
I am somebody who tends to get a schedule, and I plan every hour of that day, and I hit as much as I possibly can. And this was totally different. I slept a whole ton. It was great.
Well, I remember I spent one breakfast with you, and I thought it was so the cruises tends to get overwhelmed. So I'll just jump right in with me. Like, it was overwhelming a little bit for me because I hadn't been with people in 2 years, so I forgot what that was like. And very nostalgic because like everybody was vaccinated. We didn't have to wear masks where it was, where they would say you have to wear a mask if you're unvaccinated, but no one was unvaccinated. So everybody just kind of did what they did. So it was a little nostalgic for me. And I remember when I would get up and go to breakfast to the dining room to get away from people, to be quite honest, because I wanted to eat, but I didn't want to eat around a lot of people. I just wanted time. And I met up with you guys, and that was like one of the best, just sit down, chat about Star Trek, chat about us times I had. So thank you to both you and Marina for being there, because I walked in and I was, I always say I want to be alone. That's not really true. I just don't want a lot of people ask, like, people know me because of the podcast and they know me because I admin the group, right? And so everybody's like, are you Jesse from Facebook? And I'm like, oh my God, that's like the guy from the Safe Auto commercial.
You do bring up a very good point, though, is that for a lot of people, this was very first sort of public in-person event in 2 years, which, I mean, I kind of feel happy that we did have experiences with both STLV and, in my case, New York Comic Con. So it's like I kind of got back into the routine of being peoply. Whereas I'm sure it must have been quite a shock for a lot of people who basically self-isolated for a long time, and now bam, all of a sudden we're all packed into a giant floating metal box.
Which that was totally my situation. Is we had been isolating pretty much the whole entire time, like to the point where I even like retired from my job and we were staying in the house. And so I hadn't been around people at all. So this was a really good, like, first outing, because like Jesse said, I felt like it was just, I just got in a bubble and stepped back in time. I was walking around with people and they weren't all masked. I mean, the staff was masked, and which I appreciated. But for the most part, most people weren't. And I didn't feel like super nervous about that. Also, like Sue said, I felt much more calm because I didn't leave the ship. I just didn't know what I was going to expect at the ports. And I was like, besides, I am not on this cruise to see those destinations. For me, I am on this cruise to see my friends. Yeah. My friends are on the boat. Yeah. So I just stayed on the boat and did fun things with friends on the port days. And it was very relaxing. Yeah, I didn't feel that high stress of I've got to go to all the panels.
But Debbie and I had almost the same reaction. We'd like run up to you and go, do we hug you? Do we shake hands? What do we do?
I think that we need to point out, though, too, I'm pretty sure everybody on this call panel is an experienced congoer.
Oh, yeah.
So there is an element of, I've heard all the stories before. I've heard all the questions before. Do I need to go to this panel I've seen 15 other versions of? Probably not. And for somebody who's newer to the convention or cruising scene, that might not be the case. And that could lead to a much busier schedule.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean,
definitely.
Since I'm the planner, same way as you, Sue. So I copied in the spreadsheet, populated it with the schedule, picked out everything that I was interested in, discovered that I had surprisingly very few conflicts. I mean, it's one plus of the cruise, because even though we have things sort of running parallel to each other, it tends to be far more laid back than a typical convention schedule. And in the end, I actually ended up going to maybe 2/3 of what I actually planned, because it's sort of like, I feel it's a running theme. It was a far more chill experience compared to a typical event and even the previous cruise. I think what I liked the most was actually doing stuff together. So like we would go to a panel together with someone, like finally kind of getting up, going to the tastings. Like May and I sat next to each other for a wine tasting, and that was like, it was just fun, like my goodness.
I will say this is the first cruise where I wasn't somehow on an excursion with May. Because May and I usually hook up on an excursion somewhere, and then we talk about all the other cruises. So we did meet at the host hotel, and we snuck over to the ship before everybody else because I got impatient. I saw May, and I'm like, "Get in this car, let's go."
Jesse and me. So actually, did you do any excursions this time around? Because like Debbi, I figured, you know what, I am staying 100% on board.
I got to a port and I looked at it out my window and I said, I've been to that one before, and I didn't go. I was also anxious because I work in a university, so I didn't want to come back and then have to like not be able to go on campus if I had to. So I think I didn't go to Nassau because I didn't feel very comfortable. St. Thomas, I went in just to look around because there's a couple shops there that I like to go to. And I'm very like, you couldn't get into St. Thomas unless you had a mask on walking into St. Thomas. And then St. Martin, I think I maybe got 3/4 of the way in, and I'm like, nope, not going to do it. St. Martin just seemed a little too loosey-goosey for me. And so I just stayed on the boat, and it was great. I mean, Debbi and Rich, I mean, I think we saw you on the boat some port days, and like, you guys always had something to do. Like, you two were like, you could tell someone let you out of a box.
Yeah. We had definitely been, cut loose, and you could definitely tell. I was definitely like high energy, running around on adrenaline the whole time. I wear a Fitbit. I hit my record on steps, just because I just go.
And Rich carries Debbi around. So whatever Rich and Debbi does, Rich is doing. But when you two guys came out on that party with the like neon hair, like Debbi didn't surprise me when Rich came on with that green neon hair. I mean, what am I looking at right now?
It's vacation,
Yeah, we'd been recently let out of the box. You're exactly right. And we decided we're going to go hard out of the gate, and that's just how it's going to be.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And we did, and I loved it, and I don't regret a thing. I danced my feet off, and it was the best. It was absolutely the best. Some really, really unforgettable moments on this ship.
Well, as far as the events on the ship itself, and seeing how pretty much everyone was mostly doing stuff on board. So we already kind of touched upon about like not doing every single event, but were there any events that really kind of like, okay, this is a must, and you have to attend it, or something that turned out to be like, oh, I did not realize that this event is going to, panel, Q&A, whatever show, because we know ECP puts on a tremendous variety of the different events. Something that was like just turned out to be, so much better than you actually expected based on the description in the schedule. May, how about you?
My favorites, I think, were Denise Crosby doing the dubbing. That's always hilarious. And I did Issa's paint and pour, and I did a little painting. It was an abstract painting that was a lot of fun. And I have it right here.
I actually wanted to see some of like, oh wow.
Nice.
That's the one where you poured the paint from above. Yeah.
Something like that, yeah. So that was a lot of fun.
I thought that was like a wine painting thing, because like everything with the actors this year seemed to be revolve around wine or liquor.
Okay. I don't know if it's a great minds think alike or everybody's sort of like alcohol a little bit related because it's a cruise. But actually, I had the same thing. I saw the description, paint and pour, and I figured, okay, people are going to be painting, and pouring isn't as in having a little bit of drinking fun.
You got
sure there was also alcohol.
Yeah, and then I would tell you, so the one thing I would always say, May, you'd agree, is like, don't miss any of the game shows. If you missed the game show, you missed a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the game shows. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Game shows,
Definitely.
the version of the Hollywood Squares just hits it out of the park every single time.
Every time.
I managed to sneak into both in 2020 because
yeah.
the first one I have the first show, so I saw the first one and I basically cried myself from laughing so hard, and so I'm like I have to go to the second one. This time around I wasn't able to because I had something else going on during the second show, but it was tremendous. So I don't know if anybody was for the blue card show. Wilson Cruz just. He was the winner. It was hilarious, absolutely hilarious.
Was
He
that
won
the
the
one
second
with
show,
the
too.
kangaroos?
Yes,
Okay, yes.
He won the second show too, Marina.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah.
I think
we
he
need
had
to have
more.
Wilson Cruz on every cruise. Well,
I mean,
He
He had
also
his-
won D&D. He
Yeah.
also won Existing. He also won the Rave.
yeah, I saw the reviews of the rave with the pictures and even small tiny little video snippets, and holy cow.
All I'm saying is that Wilson Cruz, the only person who could outdo him drinking so gracefully on stage is Marina Sirtis. Because, like, he had the servers come up to him in the square to deliver him drinks. I'm like, oh, Marina's not here, but her spirit is.
Honestly, for me, there are some events that really make the cruise for me. And a big one is the Klingon rave, believe it or not. I know you wouldn't think you'd hear an old lady say hanging out late at a rave is the highlight, but that Klingon rave is just so fun. And Kenneth comes out and does he just got the whole crowd like so emotionally involved this year. It was insane. Just before logging on here, I was watching a video. Billy released an edited version of the 8 minutes of his poem, and I challenge you to watch that and not tear up a little.
Oh, yeah.
It was so moving, and I don't know, it's just emotionally overwhelming being at the rave.
Yeah.
That said, the game shows, you're right. Those game shows will make you laugh so hard, you will be crying.
Yeah. And I do have a lot of respect for Kenneth Mitchell. Just so May and I especially have seen him, like, he wasn't there the first year and then he's come on every year. And so we saw him go from like hanging with us and playing on the beach to, the rave, right? And so we've been on his journey, if you will. And one of the best things this year, though, so what I missed about last time is the last rave was like unannounced. So it just happened. When somebody said there's a rave going on and there's Kenneth Mitchell painting people up with Mary Chipo. This year was announced, but what I liked about it is, like, I, believe it or not, am not a rave person. You could not catch me in the middle of that dance floor. I dance a lot, but not like that. That's too much. But it was in that ice skating rink, so you could like be a spectator to a rave.
Mhm.
And I thought that was genius, because there's a lot of people who hear the word rave and they're not going. Like, they're like me. They're thinking people are going to float through the air.
That's me. I mean, I'm not a bar person. I'm not a club person. Never have been. But like the rave, Ken's rave in particular, is special on the cruise. Right. So I did the same thing. I went in. I was like, I'm just going to be, a wallfly. I'm going to hang back. I might like bounce in my place a little bit. Yeah. But then, as soon as they did the whole time machine thing, come down and circle up and do the time machine, I was like, I can't not.
Yeah.
And I found myself on the dance floor. I mean, I didn't expect that.
Yeah. And you kind of do find yourself on the dance floor. Like, you just don't expect that. I remember saying, okay, I had back surgery last year. Doctor told me to take it easy, relax. And I still had to recover from my vacation when I got home. No matter how much I told everybody I'm not recovering from my vacation, I had to recover. And just for people on Facebook, I see all the chatter. I just can't keep up with it. So I don't know how you guys get our attention, but Marina and I are not experts. We're just fans who love doing this stuff.
I'm going to try and see if I can. Yeah, but the chances are not good. Something I did want to actually, what I said, ACP puts on, quite a range of variety of the events. So we have the game shows and we have typical Q&A panels and then the presentations or performances. I really I've only had experience with it twice right now, but I believe he does it every year. John Delancey puts on a play reading. with participation of fans. So you have the actors playing the roles, and you have some sort of participation from the fans, whether it's, actually plays like we did the one that you did in 2020. There was probably about 20 people on stage, and you had roughly like 10 people were the actors, the guests, and the other 10 with the fans. This time around was the reading of The Lost World, which was hilarious, and the fans provided a fantastic background, making the noises. They were the how do I explain this? Sound effects, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was great. One of my friends, Shay, she was one of the dinosaurs, so we got the dinosaur battle, and it was just tremendous. So that's something that I really, really do appreciate about the cruise, that you get a little bit of more, well, not a little bit, a whole lot more extra variety in terms of programming than what you would get at a typical convention, whether it's track specific or not. Rich, you've been silent, and we apologize because we're all kind of buzzing around. What about you? Did you have a favorite event or performance?
Anything Ken was in, I was there, and I was moved, to tears. It almost brings tears now, because of, his participation, how much he puts into it. When he introduced Garrett for his second show, his comedy show, it was hilarious. It's crazy good. I was just really blown away with the whole thing. In terms of the rest of the cruise, I was having a good time. Last time I didn't hang out with my wife when she went dancing that long at night, and this time I went, and I'm glad I did, because it was very special, and it was one I'll never forget. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I was lucky enough to invite myself to where Rich and Deb had dinner every night. So I never scheduled a dinner unless it was at one of the paid ones. Never scheduled one, just because I'm all over the place. The cruise is it's like Vegas to me. It's like just my chance to just be carefree and worry free, so I don't plan anything. But I was very happy to invite myself to their dinner table, because somebody didn't show up at some point, I guess, and I just snuck in there. And it was kind of what I needed too. So like a group of people who I see on a daily basis, I miss it now, and I'm not going to get teary-eyed on here for the Reinke's at all, but I'm just telling you, it was really nice to know that there were people waiting for me. Where right now I get home, and I mean, the pets wait, but because I feed them, So, these guys were just genuinely happy for me to show up. There's one night we showed up, we didn't even eat, we just talked, so it was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I honestly think that's one of my favorite parts, is the tables that you can request with people, because the majority of cruisers, it's just open seating in the dining room, but ECP lets you send a list and say, hey, me and my 8 friends want to be at the same table, and you get the same table every night with the same people, and it's just, you share your day. It sounds so cheesy. You share your day and talk about Star Trek, and you joke about what's next, and you usually by then, for at least our dinner, we had gotten the next day's schedule by then, so people started planning. It was a lovely routine.
It's like I liken it to family dinner, where we got together once a day, and you could just check in with everybody. Oh, what was fun? What'd you do? What are you planning tomorrow? And the check-in and the getting to spend time with your friends, and also one less thing to have to schedule or concern yourself about. And not everybody does it. Lots of cruisers go and they just eat dinner in the paid restaurants, or they do Windjam or whatever. But I really like having the reserved table with a small group of friends where I know that they're going to be there. I know who's coming. I know all day I can look forward to that. And Jesse's right. All day I knew that at 5:30 or whatever time it was, that I would get to find out what everybody had done. And it's really exciting checking in.
And the crew was fantastic at dinner. I practically got married off to my server, thanks to Debbi.
She had so much fun. The one night you were busy and didn't come to dinner, she was kind of sad. She's like, "Where's Jesse? Where's Jesse?" It was fun.
No, kid you not. Every time after that first dinner we had, every time I'd walk in to wait to go to my table, they're like, Candace is waiting for you. And I'm like, oh my God.
Mhm.
And it was just, it was nice. And I will definitely add that to my list of things you really need to do is actually plan a dinner time. It really does center your day. And, you know, it was great. It was just great having, again, guys, like I tell everybody when I'm on this podcast or any other podcast, all this Star Trek stuff I love seeing the actors. I love seeing what they're up to. I love seeing what they do that's not related to their acting. So when Nana cooks or someone sings, or we've got the early morning Mary Chipo yoga that I don't know how to do, but I ended up in one day. You know,
You're brave.
Fun.
That's all that I expert at the beached whale move, which is one I created for myself on a windy. But that aside, it's like seeing people like this, and year after year, it's not only seeing people that I see year after year because we go to this together, like May and I, you know, it's also you just regain that joy from people who are there the first time, or who are there the first time, when they wake up to, oh wow, this is really cool, because like people go the first year and then they don't know what to expect. They maybe never been on a cruise. And so like Sue, like she definitely got more out of it the second time, because like the first time was like training wheels, right?
Yeah.
No,
So
and you're kind of
that's-
stressed out because, you know, it's one thing if you've done a trek event, but you've never really done a cruise. Like there's a certain degree of like, how does it all fit together?
This
When
is
you've never done an event, period. So it's like it's a cruise and it's a convention at the same time. I'm sure, you know, those people who might be coming for the very first time to an event like this, they would be super stressed out.
but this is unlike any other Trek event.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
online, yeah,
You're
no,
not
it's unique.
in Vegas or even like the new missions series with Reed Pop.
Mhm.
You're not going to get the actors doing the shows that they want to do that have nothing to do with Star
That's right.
Trek. You're not
Yeah.
going to get the game shows or have them goofing around, or it's entirely different. And I do think that there are some fan run conventions that come a little bit close to it.
Mhm.
I would suggest Dragon Con is probably the closest because of like the more the party atmosphere and the 24-hour nature of that event.
And of course, that's
But-
where I live. So of course it's better.
I'm an attending pro and eternal member and a volunteer, so I'm not going to talk bad about Dragon Con. But honestly, in my experience, that's the closest I've come to anything like the cruise, but it's still a very unique
It's a unique event.
situation.
So yeah, when they
sorry.
came up with that phrase, it's an unconventional voyage, you know, it really, you never quite get that until you show up. So like
Yeah.
for all the people watching, there's we posted this on our Cruise 6 group, right? So people who haven't been can kind of get a feel for it. These aren't just words, like none of us are getting paid to be here. So, you know, we do this for fun. And Marina and I, especially, I think over the years, like we started covering conventions, you know, what was it, like 4 or 5 years ago, Marina? We
Something like that. Yeah.
or maybe more.
Yeah.
And
But
like it was very prescriptive, right? So and Marina's the organizer, right? So she just sent me, this is what we're gonna do, and I'm like, okay, we'll do whatever you say. And thank God, because I'm not an organizer at all. But like over time, the whole convention scene, and especially the virtual conventions through the pandemic, have been more about connections than they've been about who's the star that day or anything. So you know,
Both though, because I still do. I love it when they get like one of my all-time favorites. You know, I'm getting ready to head to Chicago, and I'm just crazy excited that Will's going to be there, because we've never ever had a chance to meet him, and I'm super excited about that. And like Sonequa was on the ship, and I love Sonequa, and so it's both.
yeah,
Like you get extra special celebrity time, and you get the time with your friends. but the ports, I like the port days because everybody gets off the ship and you can you can get right on the water slide or go play on the flow rider, or there were just things you could do when the crowd thins out. So
and then
I surprised myself. I actually exercised, not in the gym, but that track that they have on the deck 12. So you keep to the left, you can run, you keep to the right, you can walk. And I was kind of shocked. Well, both myself and my sister, who basically spend most of the time sleeping, actually, because she was like, I think I'm going to take a nap. And, we've had the breakfast, we had whatever our morning events or whatever activities that we planned. And she would leave for the cabin. And I'm like, I think I'm going to just go on for a walk. And I walked, I don't know, a couple of hours while the ship is there in the port. So I have beautiful sights. I saw a couple of sea turtles just floating around. You have beautiful view of whichever city that we're next to. And I'm like, that's kind of weird, because usually for me, if I go somewhere, I'm either running around, at a convention, or I'm doing stuff with other people, but it's never sort of like a chill moment in the middle where I think I'm just going to go and do my 10,000 steps for the day in like one shot. But
it is interesting when there's not a destination to your walking, right? So that's what I think this year what I got more out of was just like, I didn't have like, this year I didn't have a group I was meeting there except for everyone else. But I, flew in, I met up with May, we got on the ship, and then, we just did our thing, right? So I didn't have anyone that I had to meet up with just for dinner and stuff, right? And so I could just take a walk and say, oh, what's going on, and who's here, and who do I know, and who do I not know? I didn't feel like I was always headed somewhere.
Yeah, and it's fun to actually just kind of take the time and take a look at the ship itself, because aside from obvious, the Trekified locations, which is mostly bars, so we get specially made up menus with Trek names to every single drink, or in some cases even dishes, decorated elevators. But the ship itself, it's the same class as the Explorer, which was what we had in 2020, but they all decorated differently. Each one has a little bit of something to check out. Yeah. Plus, of course, we do have stuff that's brought in by ECP each time. ECP/CBS Paramount. In this case, we did have the museum again, which had wonderful costumes from Discovery, and we even got a glimpse of the Strange New Worlds costumes, which was cool. I have to apologize again to the person who was, one of the hosts, one of the staff who was kind of kept guard, because obviously people walked in, and everybody's jaws just went, once you saw the 4 costumes, and naturally immediately phones came out, and you had people started taking pictures of every single thing of this, every like how the sleeve is attached and what you have on the boots and everything,
all the cosplayers.
And of course, and I'm standing there, I'm like, this is marvelous, and I just kind of go and I clapped the Spock uniform on the shoulder, and the guy just kind of went, please don't touch this. I'm so like he just automatically is like, are you in the moment?
Yeah. So, question for May. So over the years, we've seen the decorations, right? Like this year, didn't they really step it up just a bit? Because like, did you notice that these, I'm thinking of like the captain's retreat area where they had all the old-timey maritime photos, but they blended in, like they had like pictures that were created like the pictures that the ship had normally. So when you walked in, you're like, wow, I wonder if, he's always been there, it just looked like everything fit so well this year. And then the decorations on those, on the elevators, the turbo lifts, like the new decals they put on those. I was like, whoa, they really stepped it up this year.
My only tiny little gripe was that I wish they were a little bit brighter. Because more often than not, you don't have natural light coming in, and those decals kind of blended with the surroundings. Like you had to look really closely, but it was very nice because it actually had useful information on them. So like every name that they renamed the parts of the ship to correspond to whichever location, Studio B,
Gregorius Gorn.
It was all there, but unfortunately, it was like the way it kind of stuck to the glass. It wasn't very bright.
Well, and I was happy though they didn't put up the decal. I love Janeway, but I'm happy she wasn't on that turbo lift.
I love that, Jesse. Come on,
It scared me. I was like, "Who is on here?"
It was fun. It was fun. I missed my Janeway. Come on. No,
I thought they did a really good job also with the signage of like the restaurants, because before it looked like they got a sticker and just slapped it over a restaurant sign. This time it looked like they made an entire like cover for the sign, and it looked like the original sign was supposed to say the gregarious corn, or what was the sushi, Hikaru's sushi. And they were really well done. It was noticeable.
It blended in so well.
Yeah, I love the well, again, I do appreciate a good cocktail, and I really like the fact that they picked out a lot of classic cocktails, some of the stuff that they made up themselves, and they all renamed it, and they printed the menus. And actually, I kept one from Captain's Retreat. I was looking at it, and I went to give it back to the barman, and he's like, "You know what? We printed so many of these, you can just keep it as a memento." And I'm like, "Oh, this is so nice." So and I really like that, like what you mentioned. The I mean, we all know it's a Photoshop, but it was a fun Photoshop to look at.
Yeah, I was late getting off the ship, believe it or not. Slept in, whatever, but I was late, and I went to
they kicked you out, didn't they?
Yeah, they did kick me out a little bit, yeah. but I was where the coffee was, right, and the guys who were turning over the restaurant over from it was Playmakers, so whatever it was called, I call it, I'm getting next year, y'all, Morn's Corner. We're going to have a Morn's Corner where I get to sit and just watch people the whole time. And there could be more than one Morn. But anyway, that place, and they gave me like a stack of just their menus. They had like the burgers and chips and all that menu they had there with Star Trek related stuff. So they gave me a stack of those. So I've like offered them. They left really fast. They're still not in the mail yet, folks, but I promise I'll get them out. But yeah, it was cool that they shared that. It's the first time I've seen them share that stuff, and it really is. I was just amazed at maybe it's the extra year, but the amount of care that they took. And ECP is not like a Star Trek centric company. I mean, they do entertainment cruises, but they've got the right people there. I mean, down from whoever does our reservations to JT, who's our host. They are in it. Yeah.
Yeah, it is most definitely something that I deeply appreciate. That ECP, the customer service is excellent, and they do listen. So, as of this live broadcast, this recording, they have sent out a survey email, and it's a known fact that they actually go through every single one of those, and they make decisions, they adjust things, they add things, change things. This particular year, and I saw people commenting in the groups, everybody was super, super happy with the fact that we got Epic servicing the photo ops and just generally being the ticketing service for autographs and photo ops. And tremendous. And it came from, people giving them feedback after 2020 where, well, that was one thing that I definitely was very.
That was a picture nightmare 2020.
Yeah, the quality was off. There were a lot of issues with the photo ops, and it was just wonderful. It was faster. It was, they have the Instaprint technology. So, you go through the thing, boom, you get the photo right at the end. Speaking of which, actually, did any of you do any photo ops? A lot of photo ops, no photo ops at all?
I did. I got the doctor's one that I got with my trip. And I loved it. I remember 2020 we were just starting out, with the whole COVID and pandemic stuff, right? So we were one of like the last two ships that got back without getting told you can't come in here. And but I remember they were like not fist bumps, elbow bumps and high fives and LLAPs. And, and then you got to the pictures, and everybody had to go through 100 pictures to find your own. You literally picked it up and like, oh, there's mine.
Yeah.
So
this time around, it was just so like boom, boom, boom. Take a picture.
And they're amazing. May, did you realize like the lines weren't as crazy this year? Like, where I didn't wait in line. I'll tell you right now, I didn't buy anything that required a line. But May, as we're walking, did you notice like people weren't waiting halfway down?
But there's a reason for that, Jesse, because like they did line management. Like they said, all right, you guys all gather up in the theater. We'll give you a numbered ticket and we'll just take you like 25 at a time. And so you didn't have that physical crowding. And while you were waiting, you could sit comfortably. I think it was much better planned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I said the only thing I noticed was like anytime before the shows, because everybody's trying to get the best seat, right? But I always sit up top because I don't want to be that close, because I don't want to get called on stage for anything.
Well, I did wait in one of the lines. Most of the time, I'm like you, I'll just go in whatever. But when it was Garrett's show, I really wanted to be like down in front. So I actually lined up like an hour early and sat in that line for that one show. But I'm glad I did, because it was a great show. And I'm also really glad they listened, like when we did the surveys from, I keep saying last year, but I need to learn to say last time. Last time. That they had Garrett in that little room, and people were just jammed in there like sardines, because word got out it was a great show and it was just packed. You couldn't get a drink, you couldn't breathe, you couldn't move. And they put him in the big theater and it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. So I was really glad that they listened to our suggestion.
Yeah, and so what about the theme nights? What did you guys think about the theme nights this year?
Well, I loved watching the cosplay. I'm not cosplaying at the moment, but I just literally parked myself in the promenade and then just watched people watch.
In Mourn's Corner. That's where you stand.
But the Kaplan Collective.
Yes.
The Kaplan Collective was hilarious.
Since you all do amazing cosplay, please talk about this, because
you
costumes were extraordinary. It literally was a pleasure to watch.
What I want to know is, and everybody who knows Rich and Debbi know that they never fly to Vegas, because they take like a van that's stuffed with
full of costumes,
and then they sit in like two seats. They share one seat on the trip. I mean, I've seen it. It's a mom van, and they've got one seat to share to Vegas. So I want to know how you guys did your costumes this year.
Oh my goodness. And you know what the saddest thing of all that was, Jesse, is the night of the big costume competition. I don't know. I partied too hard the night before, and it got to the point to dress up, and I just looked at Rich and I was like, oh, can we just not? And he was like, what? He was such a good sport about it, but I was just exhausted. And so there was one pair of cosplay that we flew all the way out there with the wigs and everything, and flew it back without even wearing it. But yeah, we had to be very selective in our choices. Like what we chose to take were things that packed small.
And did you plan for every theme night? Or
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. We wouldn't
my very
miss
first
one.
year. I'm not to the level you two are. My very first year on the cruise, I had cosplay for every night.
Oh.
And I found that it took up so much of my time. You know, we hit 5:30 dinner, because that was our scheduled time for people with the second show, then back to the cabin, get ready, do all the makeup, put the costume on. If you're lucky, you're in time to get in line for your show. The show's over at, 10. So you've got maybe a couple hours out to wear this costume in. And for someone used to cosplaying all day long at a convention, it was a little bit frustrating. Like, why am I going to this effort for only a couple hours?
Yeah.
So for me this year, I definitely pared it back. I did about half full cosplay, and the rest was like, oh, this dress fits the theme. Oh, this shirt fits the theme. And it gave me the opportunity to relax a little bit while still feeling like I was part of that night's theme.
Oh, yeah.
You're right though, Sue, because the one that we didn't wear, but we took, was the wadi. And I was looking at that and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to fix up my wig. I got to paint the little things across my face, and I got to get all this stuff changed. And I was like, I would do that if I could play in it all day and really celebrate it and enjoy it. But I was thinking, I'm going to go through an hour's worth of prep for about 4 hours worth of fun, and another 45 minutes to undo it all and put it away. And I was like, I would rather do it like at a con, where you put it on in the morning and enjoy it all day, and everybody yells a la Marine, and it's just super duper fun, and it's okay, because I'm just going to take the Wadi to Vegas again this year. And the Wadi Collective is it's like a rolling snowball. It gets a little teeny tiny bit bigger every year. So join us.
Hey, May, do you cosplay at all? I don't know. I think I see you like in uniform. So are you a cosplayer?
Usually I just do a uniform, but this year I did the toga and the Roaring Twenties. I did the
I saw you in the dress for the Roaring Twenties.
Yeah, the Roaring 20s
was amazing. My God, all the dresses that there was one couple that I absolutely adored because it kind of fit. At least I think that was the Roaring 20s because it wouldn't have made sense on any other. They were dressed as as the Adamses.
Oh yeah,
and so it's all very black and white sort of, and I'm like, this is just perfect. That's another thing that I really like, that people find very inventive ways of combining. It's like we're on a Star Trek cruise, but you get something else thrown in, and it kind of still fits. Great fun.
I have to say that cosplay is contagious, and if you hang out with me long enough, you will start cosplaying. I don't know if you saw the Orion 1920s housemaid. But she had never cosplayed before. And here she was in full like green paint and the whole thing. And it was awesome.
That's the night I needed to get with you. Cause like I was going to be in Orion that night, but like I forgot a key piece of like makeup, which would just made it look like I was bleeding green throughout the ship. So
which I probably had.
I'm I could probably play this as a like dying Orion 20s person. But then I thought about the stewards and I'm like, no, I'll just clean up.
But that if it's a makeup thing, it's probably in my kit. Yeah. Especially in Vegas. Now for the flying, I had to go through and selectively only bring like the appropriate makeup for the appropriate cosplay. But when we go to Vegas, I just bring my whole kit.
Yep. And I remember when I saw May that night, because all I did was just put my wig on in a Discovery uniform. And I went, okay, that's all it's going to have to be. But May kind of shocked me because she tapped me on the shoulder to take a picture. And I'm like, holy crap, she like really went out for it. Like I've seen May in uniform, but like, May, you got into it this year. I could tell. And I think next year you're going to do a little more, I believe. And then
there was actually in relation to the cosplay, there was actually a question from somebody, and it literally just slipped through, but somebody asked if they should plan for like easy cosplays. And I don't think I'm the right person to advise. I mean, I'm.
That's a Debbi question.
Yeah,
I'll take it. I don't mind. Here's my advice.
It was a question from Kimber. That's it. I found it. Yeah.
Here's my advice. I mean, of course, you do. Number one thing about cosplay is it is supposed to be fun. The minute it becomes work or a pain in the butt, or you're not having a good time, stop, change, do something different. It is supposed to be fun. If you are having fun, you are doing it right. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. The second thing is, if you're flying, you got to consider, how many cubic inches is this thing going to take up? And so we looked at, okay, if we're taking a wig, can it be a multi-purpose wig that I use for more than one outfit? For my shoes, we weren't going to take 14 pairs of shoes. We had to pare it down. So we had to really think about, okay, what if I take these black boots, it can go with this many outfits. So a lot of that kind of multi-use planning. But also, if you have one really elaborate outfit and that's just what you want to do, then rock that outfit,
cosplay
it is about having fun. And if it's not fun for you, then put on your favorite t-shirt and go enjoy everybody else's hard work.
And that is actually true about pretty much everything. Some people think like you go to a convention and you have to try and hit every single panel and no, once it becomes a chore, it's just the wrong way of
I did that one year, like my first year, I think I did that. I brought up the highlighter and I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, that worked one year. The only thing that worked is that the sheet was highlighted, but I couldn't make it to everything. Yeah. That's all that worked.
My very first Vegas, I did something in the order of about 25 to 30 photo ops, and I thought I was going to drop dead. And to this day, I cannot even tell you which ones they were precisely, because I've never met these people before. Chances are I never will. Right. And so I literally ran myself ragged into the ground trying to get, because it's all happening parallel to everything else. Yeah. So just
the other things about this year's cruise that I got to do this year was stuff that wasn't necessarily ECP, so not the big shows. So like Gaze in Space had a few events, and they pared back this year a little bit, but the ones they did were really good. And like I got to be on like Trekkie Feud, which was awesome, except Chirac didn't know his own mother's name. So we're not gonna talk about that.
He will never live this down.
That's the only reason I lost. I'm just saying. but it was so much fun to see this, you know, fan run thing, if you will, right? And doing it so well that you do it for the love of being with people and it being Star Trek, and not everything had to be a big performance or a big event. Didn't all involve balloons and glow sticks, you know. Like some of my favorite times were like those mid-morning things where like people are still sleeping from the night before, and I got a secret seat because I got up early that day. So was there anything during the day I know Marina, you went to a couple things during the day that
yeah, I had a very spread out days. Actually I did less in the evenings, because by the time the evening came, I that's it. I'm kind of, so I didn't go to every party. I ran out of steam. And yeah, but I did most of the stuff. Like I've been up and around doing things pretty much every single day. Just to interrupt our wonderful conversation here, we're 8 minutes until the opening ceremony, so we do need to wrap up here.
We will wrap up.
There was one quick question that I kind of flipped through the comments that we had, and that was about from Yesenia about the this whole thing with setting up a group of people that you have dinner every day.
Oh, I did that.
You have to have you can vary the list of people who come to the meal.
So,
you actually have to have the same person, the same group of people.
Technically, it needs to be the same group of people.
But I will tell
you know that somebody's not coming that night, and you bring a different person, chances are they're not going to.
I will tell you what I did this year was there were a bunch of newbies who didn't know anyone on the cruise. And so I volunteered to kind of set them up together to sit, at least to get to know someone, right? So I sent, like Sue said, I sent the list to ECP and I said, can we get 5:30 dinners or 9, whatever the dinners are for these people? They just show up, give their cabin number, and they get shown the table, right? And that, from what I hear, worked out well. Like I didn't,
that's nice.
Again, I didn't set up for any dinners. I stole somebody's seat at Debbi's table. Which is perfectly fine.
Correction. He filled an empty seat.
There you go.
That seat was going to be empty. So I was glad you were there, because I always feel like if you reserve a table, you should at least try to be there most of the time, because if you reserve that table, your server is basically, reserved for you, and they can't wait.
And they know you. They get to know you by name. Yeah. They know what you like to drink. They know how you like your food cooked. I mean,
that was true of pretty much everyone except probably Windjammer, because Windjammer was very much come and go.
I stayed away
every
from
single
Windjammer.
but every place, my sister and I dined several times at Chops. And we actually requested the same person every time, because like second time he remembered the names, he remembered what we had for both the drinks and the one night we even he said, like, well, this is thank you so much for coming, and this thing is not gonna a little bit of extra for you, we got one of the appetizers for free. It was just so incredibly nice. Kind of nice to feel appreciated. I mean, we pay money for it, but still,
but even the one you don't pay money for, sorry to interrupt, but I think people need to know this. You get a different menu when you do those reserved tables than when you do the open seating. And people who eat in the open seating, they've said, oh, I don't think the main dining room is that good. And I'm like, why? It's fantastic. I sit at a reserved table. I get the specialty items every day. So it is worth it.
And some nights, those specialty items for us that we don't pay extra for, someone else is paying $35 for. So just saying, that's your best money right there, is getting that reserved table if you can manage it in.
However, if you're interested in the specialty dining and plan to go to it a lot, I highly suggest looking into the ultimate dining package.
Oh yeah.
I haven't done it, but one of our I think several of our friends did it this year, and she had specialty dining every night at these places that if you were just to walk up to them, the upcharge would be anywhere from like $45 to $60.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
On average, it cost her $25 a night.
Yeah. And it was very much worth it, because those places are amazing.
Yeah,
so if that's something you want to treat yourself to, that is the way to do it, is with a package.
I did the 3 thinking that I wouldn't even make 3, but then like I just got I'm doing the ultimate the next time because I did the math finally, right? So this year May and I got inducted into like the cruise collective for being on all 5 cruises, and one of the things that I didn't do this year, so like we're all talking and everything, and then me, not that I have a mathematical mind, but I just turned to someone and I said, I should probably add up how much I've spent the past 5 years on this cruise. And then they told me not to, and I had some champagne and got that idea out of my head.
We're down to like the last 3 minutes, so
so we're gonna
do like a very quick like run around, like something that for those people who are brand new. We have a lot of newbies coming next year, 2023. A quick, a word of advice, if you will, and then we'll wrap up.
Let's start with Rich, since he doesn't get to say much.
Well, maybe it is a little selfish, but the vow renewal for us was a big point of the whole cruise. We went to that, and it was very moving. I really liked it a lot.
Great.
And then Ken came in, close second.
Thanks. Debbi, what's your, if you need to tell them something?
Well, my best advice is try it at least once, because I really think you'll be hooked. We started this as let's just do it one time kind of thing. And now I wouldn't want to miss it for anybody's business.
May, what are your, you and I share this unique thing. Why do you keep coming back?
Because I love you. Because I love anything Star Trek. I really enjoy the celebrity hosted panels, those intimate ones. You get to see more of their personality. If you can jump on those really fast, because they fill up just like that. I wish I'd have more of those. I really enjoy those. Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Yeah.
And Sue.
If I had to give one piece of advice, it's the same one I give for any convention, is don't get attached to a single guest, because plans change, people have to cancel. But that's, if you're going for one guest and that's it, don't go.
Yeah,
because
that's very good.
You're going for, honestly, once you do it once, you'll be going for the community that is on that ship.
Perfect.
Very true. My advice would be a bit of basically, I know a lot of people are coming with a lot of questions. How do I do this? How do I do that? We're blessed that we have the positive side of the social media. Plenty of people that you can reach out and ask questions. There are several groups on Facebook. So there's actually specific to each cruise. There's a cruise 5 if you want to join. Now, this one's going to actually get slower and slower over the next year. And of course, there's already a group, the group for cruise 6. So make sure to join it. If you have any questions, reach out. I mean, there are people who can tell you anything and everything. Perfect.
Yeah, and I echo what Marina says. Like, definitely join the group. We answer a lot of questions there, and we don't care if you ask the same question 7 different times. We're going to answer it anyway, because everybody was new for the first time. But there is now a link to the opening ceremonies in our chat, so I'm going to go over to the virtual TrekCon opening ceremonies. But guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to have you back again at some point. We'll definitely, hopefully, see you all next year. And Marina, you're the best, and you know that.
You're the best. No, thank you for coming, everyone.
Yeah.
Live long and prosper.
Me too. There he is.